Welcome, everybody. Sorry, we're getting a little technical difficulty there getting the meeting started this morning, but looks like we're all good now. Just getting everyone admitted.
Ryan, I think you have presenter access, so you're good, right?
Yes, yeah, it looks good. Thank you. So I will get my screen share started here just momentarily, and we'll get started, everybody. All right.
Yep. We can see your
Screen share
screen.
look okay? Audio's
Looking
good. All right. Appreciate everyone's patience there. Ryan Seymour here, ConnectSecure. I'm going to host the call today, guys. So going to go through some updates on the V4 app and where things are at and some of the features that have changed. So we're going to get started here. I know we haven't been together for a couple weeks. I want to start off there. We've been busy at a couple of the shows in the channel, the PAX 8 event, the ConnectWise event. I know we saw and talked to a lot of the partners. Myself, I didn't unfortunately get to go this time. I'll be at some of the shows later on at the end of the year, but I know some of my colleagues were out there at the show. So Nick and Simone from my team were there. So if you guys had a chance to come check us out, appreciate you guys stopping by as always. Um, Go ahead and get started here. So some updates in the V4 UI that have been released is under our remediation velocity screen, which is going to be found under the solutions area. So if you go to under your assets and solutions section, you will find under remediation velocity and plan, we've got filters now for severity categories. So instead of looking at just all vulnerabilities, which you can do, you can also filter by critical, high, medium, or low to really look at that data depending on what you're actually supposed to be fixing. I know a lot of our MSPs are specifically care about criticals and highs all the time and not so much on some of the others all the time. So this will give you some flexibility on what you're actually seeing on the solutions screens now. We've added a filter for platform, which will be useful for the asset searching screen. So if you're in the assets screens, whether you're in the default view or you use that table view, you'll have a filter option here for platform. And if you look on any asset in your system, you'll see here up under the agent details, we'll have a platform section, or I'm sorry, asset details. This one happens to be a printer. So in this example, we could say contains or equals printer. So if you want to filter out your assets by platform, looking for specific groups of devices, this would help you find those groups of devices by platform now. And I've seen partners then take that group of devices, for example, and then maybe apply a set of tags to them. So you could multi-select those assets and then use the tag to go ahead and tag some of those assets by group, by device, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a nice added filter in the filter column. There's also a lot of other filters in there too. So if you're checking that out, there's a lot of other things you can use there. We've moved around the integration action off the top toolbar back under the 3-dot action menu or under the global action menu, which we're showing here in the screenshot. And so this is the manual ticket creation process, basically. So if you're not going to use, automatic ticket creation, or maybe you are and you also want to create a manual ticket for some reason, you can always come in and select them either on the left, the checkboxes, or you can just use the 3-dot action menu on the right and grab that integration action button. And that'll walk you through the creation of a ticket. Now, you do have to have your integration set up, of course, to use this feature. So if you don't have a ticketing integration and you click that button, nothing's gonna, you're gonna have nothing in the drop down and it's not gonna really make much sense or be useful to you. So you'll have to have an integration set up. Any one of the PSA integrations will work here. You just gotta have them set up and you'll have the option to create, update, and close tickets that are in the system there. Global settings, we've added a new drill through on the security access around the members and users area here. So if you're under the global settings and you're in our users menu, you'll see a list of all your users. And from there, the company access column has an indicator if you're a full, meaning all. So you can see here, if you're an admin, you might have all company access, meaning this user has access to all the companies in the portal, or you might have restricted. Restricted means you don't have all. And if you tap on restricted now, we're displaying what company details are there as far as what they have access to. So if they have access to more than one, they'll be able to see that grouping layer now by tapping in and seeing it. So just a quick update in the UI, make it a little easier to track and find things. We find that more and more partners have, their customers logging in or subcontractors logging into systems and want to be able to limit their access. So moving on, we've added the insecure open port to our scan risk scoring for external scanning. So this will show face on the letter grade that you see if you're looking at this external scans asset results. So public domains or IP ranges that you're hitting with an external scan will get graded. If you tap on that letter grade, we'll display our risk score detail that will be the scoring rubrics on how we determine what that score is, specifically that 54 score. And so we have a document that breaks this down because, to be honest, there's no easy way to explain these things unless you go through and run the math with somebody, right? And so in that doc on the help link, we've built out a scoring standard to try to clarify this. And we've made many iterations of this over the last few weeks as we've been working with partners and, challenging ourselves to create as much clarity around the scoring as that we possibly can. I know that we've seen support tickets about some of these things as well. And so, if there's any partners that are having problems with the scoring and not understanding it, let us know, let our support team know. I will get with you personally and we'll go through it. And if there's something we can do for clarity or something's not working, we'll get it fixed with you guys. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that. But the risk scoring, if you want to know why something is getting scored the way it is, you tap that letter grade, it'll take you here, and you're specifically going to be looking for things that say exists, right? With a yes. And then the factor is basically showing you how many counts of that specifically are we finding. So in this specific example, we have 3 insecure ports that were found, each carrying a weightage of 1 or 100, which is why the total is 300. Right? And so that 300 is our total. Moving on, integrations. We added for the super ops integration, we added some updates to the UI and to the documentation, thanks to a couple partners that we worked with on the support side that shared some information with us. So thank you. So the super ops integration, if you're using it, base URL and subdomain has been updated. And basically in your super apps portal, your subdomain is just that white labeled or that single piece of your domain that you're using on your normal login URL. You can find this inside your super apps portal as well. So if you go into your super apps portal and go into your settings under your MSP information, you'll see this lit up there. And I've got a screenshot of it in the docs where to find it in the super ops area. And then the base URL, of course, comes, if you're in the US side, this is their API. They also have an EU-based API that you would use if you're in the EU with SuperOps. And again, those URLs are both listed in the documentation for you guys. So if you tap on the info link on these integration menus where you see the little eye bubble, that'll take you to that documentation if you can't find it, or you can obviously just search for it, of course. So data center specific SuperOps US EU API URLs need to be added. AD audit. So we have a feature in our system called AD audit, Active Directory audit, basically is what this is for. And we've made a couple of changes to how it's now activated and displayed. We also have new documentation written for this to clarify some points around how this works. For those of you that are here that may be using Active Directory, this AD audit is only available on a domain controller. So if you try to put this on anything that's not the domain controller, you will not see these options highlighted on the screen. So if you were to click on the three-dot action menu on the end of any one of your agents, it can be a lightweight or a probe, okay? Any agent, hit that three-dot action menu. If you don't see activate or deactivate AD audit, that means you're not on the domain controller. So we won't let you turn it on if it's not the DC. So that was a slight change. And then we've also added the column here on the agent screen so you can see if it's enabled, yes or no. Yes, green, it's on. No, red means it's not enabled. You won't see it on machines like this if it's not supported. So for example, this is a Windows 10 Pro. This is not a domain controller. It won't be a domain controller. So we won't even display a yes or no there because it's not even eligible to be scanned with AD audit like that. So turning this on is only available at the DC level, and we need credentials, right, for Active Directory, and that will scan Active Directory every 15 minutes for changes. So every 15 minutes, there is a check of Active Directory users, computers, groups, GPOs, policies. Do we see any changes? And then they'll record it, and those can also trigger events from our event set. So if you were looking at any of our event sets, which is part of our integrations, you would find alerts in there under the AD audit category. And that's where these are triggered from. And again, this is all explained in the documentation kind of because there's a few pieces working together here. But this is a change that you guys will see on the agent screens now to help clarify, but also not confuse you, because now you cannot turn activate AD audit on a machine that doesn't support it. And before you were able to. So I want to clarify that. Before you could, now we've taken that off. So good change there. Couple other changes to the setting menus. So the report settings specifically have been changed and modified, and they now fall under the global settings menu. So if you pull up the global under your company selector, whoops, and then hit the global settings menu, you'll find a new category here called report settings. This is where you'll be able to manage any of the report customization options from one spot. Before we had this in a couple different menus and it was kind of in a few different spots. So we've now collapsed this down to a single spot. So if you want to change anything about reports, you can come here to do doc XLS, I'm sorry, for your Excel, and then the custom report cover page. And this is where you can set them up for each one of your customers as well. So if you want to do a custom report cover page for each customer, this is where you come to set those things up. We've added customization, basically pagination here on the tables. So in the bottoms of the table views now, you'll have the option to change. Oh, apologize, guys. I keep mousing that over. You'll have the option to change the items per page. Before there were just kind of some hard-coded options like 5, 10, 25, and 100. You now enter in an items count page that you want to see to. And you can also go to any page if you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of rows and you have multiple pages or hundreds, you can now go through those pages too pretty quickly with the navigations at the bottom of that screen. So you'll see that on your company, on your table views now. That table size setting is also now included in the global table setting under the global settings. So under your global table setting, you can set how many items per page you want to load on each screen. And again, you can customize that number now. I want to share some on-prem release updates with the on-prem version of V4. So we are ready to onboard anyone that wants their on-prem version of V4, you just need to reach out to us. Send mail to support@ConnectSecure. That's going to create a ticket, and we will add you guys to our process we have internally to get you started with this. So the way it's released is a little bit different in this version, the way it's deployed. Dev and team has provided us with some of those technical details here. I won't bore you guys by reading every one of these things line by line, but basically we provide the images for you guys to deploy this through multiple platforms, VMware, AWS, Azure, depending on where you're going with this. Still using our pod architecture that our current V4 SaaS platforms are using. We'll use all of our global routing, your external scans, all the things that are happening in the SaaS side will be similar. You'll get a DNS entry, of course, for your on-prem version. So pod DNS entry.myconnectsecure.com will be that branding that the agents will use. Your UI will come from our same content delivery network that the cloud is using. So again, keeping everything in lockstep there, using the same CDNs for the tools. And then of course, custom domains when you're on-prem will be all supported. So if you need on-prem V4 and you've been waiting or you haven't gotten it yet, please send a mail to us. We want to get you guys on it as soon as possible. It's ready to go. So we'll be happy to help you guys out and navigate those changes with you. Want to share some release updates that are under QA. So we should see these updates here coming in the next round of updates, and which generally has been every weekend for us. Is when we see our changes, but these are going to be the next things we'll see. So adding a OS view for vulnerability drill down. So in the vulnerability categories, right, we provide vulnerability by OS now. So you can really look at the problem categories that we're finding specifically around operating system patches. So new category added to those vulnerability dropdowns. You can drill down into those now to see the details once you click through those, click through that previous table, right? Display the actual under the hood details with all the scoring information. And then of course, a way to go back to the previous table so you don't lose your spots, right? Which would be here. We have added the option to do the one-time scan now, which was similar in our previous V3 product. So in V4 now, you'll see a very similar behavior on the agent download screen where you grab the agent installer from. You'll have just that scan option you can select. It'll give you that set of instructions that you'll use on the PowerShell to run this executable. And then if you'll take the output and just basically your zip file and upload it back to our portal where you'll be able to then display the assets, and those one-time scanned assets will look and feel just like all the other ones. They'll be added into your all assets section, with the one difference is they won't be scanned like all the other assets may be getting scanned, because this would be a one-time scan only type of thing. Okay, so one-time scans coming back added to the all assets view. So those are going to be the updates for this week. Well, I guess for the last couple of weeks. I'm going to remind everyone here that maybe you have seen or using or not fully on it yet, the V4 product. We do have the group-led onboardings that we're running every week. So myself, I run 2 of those every week on Tuesday and Thursday. And then a couple of my colleagues are running them on different days. So we have group-led onboardings that are really just an introduction back to the V4, how to get into your system, and really how to start to leverage it. So any partners that, again, are not using it or having problems with it, we want to know. I certainly feel like the platform's in a much better, stable spot now. I know that team here has been working really hard on optimization and performance and stability, and just making, the core of what we do very reliable. That's what we've heard a lot of. So we'll continue to do that, but just want to remind you guys, we've got resources here that are, ready to help you guys get onto the product, you get the best out of it. So send us a message, let us know what we can do to help you guys. We want to be there for you. So appreciate everyone's time, of course, everyone that joined us. I will turn my attention over to the the chat as we generally do and see if there's anything in that chat that I can address. And I will certainly address it. And if not, I will maybe guide you to a resource. Mark, is a restricted company listing also available on export? That's a great question, Mark. If it's not, we should certainly add that. I know a few of my teammates and colleagues are here. So Mark from MarcoNet is asking about restricted companies being on the export. So that's, if it's not, we should certainly add it. So Mark, I'll make sure we check that one off. Charles, what some risks when enabling AD audit, if any? The risk, I guess if when you're referring to risk, I guess the one thing that hits my mind is, performance is always a risk. If Active Directory is not in a stable environment or on reliable hardware, if you're hitting it every 15 minutes with a scan, there could be some risk there, but outside of that, I would think it's just a normal risk, aside from what credentials you've provided, right? Of course, we do provide a least privileged account document. So if you don't want to use, your domain admin creds, which we generally wouldn't recommend using, you can use the least privileged doc to create that account. So other than that, no real risk there, I would say. Mark, dark web scanning, will this be a focus in the future and more advanced than attack surface mapper? Mark, yeah, I would say if I get a vote here and we're all voting, that's a +1 for me. I know we've heard and asked a lot about deep dark web scanning. I know there's some threat sources out there that, do those things or claim to do those things. And I know that Shiva and his team have probably been thinking about it. I don't have any specifics on that, Mark, but that I would say that's something that the team's probably thinking about. In the lens of compromised usernames and passwords, right? And when I think dark web scanning, I specifically think of usernames and passwords and emails that have been compromised or found in data leaks, right? Public data leaks that we learn about, that we hear about all the time. Well, sometimes we don't hear about them. We have to go research and find it. But that would be, I think, a great start, or in a toe in the right direction for that kind of stuff. So, Mark, I know you and I have talked offline often. I'd be happy to chat about that a little bit more if you have any other insight on dark web scanning and what you've seen out there, or any partner that has any ideas for that stuff. We'd love to hear what you guys are thinking or hearing about. So, Todd, will the AD scan follow the scan setting to block when it cannot scan? I know the AD scans kind of issues for us on V3. Yeah, so if I understand that correctly, yeah, if the AD scan is failing or gets blocked, it will stop or be terminated, which you'll see in the job status of that. So you should see that. Peter dropped in our onboarding link. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, that connectsecure.com/onboarding. You can see all the days and grab times from there. If you guys have, anyone here that's maybe adding new teammates to your teams, or new colleagues or new subcontractors, and you want them to, get the rundown of how to use the tool and how it's used and what to expect, send them to one of those onboarding sessions, right? Some free training for them. Try to keep it to an hour there. Dennis Shiva mentioned a new M365/AAD security module. Dennis, I don't have specific updates on that yet, sir. I'm anxiously waiting to hear from that as well. I don't know if Shiva's actually here with us or not. If he is, he may just yell it and scream out to us. If not, maybe in our next future call, we'll hear something about that. Wendell, how do we disable the V4 overlay splash screen when our clients open V3 using our white label custom URL? Wendell, noted, understood. So Wendell's referring to, there is a pop-up message that you will see if you're logging into the V3 portal or the V3 product, where we're just basically letting you know that, hey, we've got V4 available for you. We want you to move to it. Your tenant's ready, type of thing. And we may want to disable that, he's saying, for white label stuff. So Wendell, my team is here. Someone, let's make sure we have, if you, and Wendell, actually, I'm thinking about, I believe you may have created a ticket. I thought I saw one. If you didn't, I'm gonna create it for you. You did, thank you. I thought I saw your name earlier. So I will, we will get you a response on that and see what we can do to help you out there. Point taken though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, Eric Hansen, send an email, support@connectsecure.com. That'll get the process rolling. We'll get you started, man, and get you trained and show you how to do all the things you need to do. Alan, built-in scanning. Yeah, Keeper. So Alan, yeah, Bitwarden, Keeper. Yes, thank you guys. Those are things that I'll take note of. We always do our healthy competitive research and development and want to know what's out there, what's available. Where can we do integrations, of course, right? We love to integrate with partners that have already built great solutions. So I know that's never out of the question for us and our team. So appreciate anyone's response they share with us. We love insight from the MSP community. I mean, you guys probably know best what's out there and what's working well or what's not working well. So I think we like to hear both. Yeah, take those down to Keeper, Bitwarden, NordPass. So thank you guys on those. Looks like not a ton to chat today, which is sometimes good or bad. So I think we hit everything. Again, if you guys need anything, we're always an email away. Let us know. We want to connect with you guys and do what we can to help you out. As always, appreciate everyone joining us, and we'll look forward to talking to you guys again here in another week from today. So you guys all have a good rest of the day and a good week ahead.